Welcome everybody, my name is François Letarte and this is my channel D30, a channel about tabletop role-playing games. So I will do three videos, three rambles. I decided to do in three parts because I've tried myself into one video, it was quite messy. So three videos, it's a report of the obvious. Yes, there are things that are obvious related to role-playing games, related to the quality of the game itself. Okay, the quality of the game you are running. In the end, was it a good game? Was it a game of quality? And I will kind of ramble on three aspects that I come quite evident more than ever, okay, because of my RPGS experience. RPGS, if you don't know what is RPGS, it's a big setting. And I'm running an experiment since 2-3 years. I want to run a one-shot in every one of those kingdoms that are in RPGS. And I want to try out a different game systems every time. These are all one-shots. So yeah, it's quite an extreme experiment so far. And I want to do these three videos because I'm in the middle of the experiment. Okay, so far I've been able to almost do 8 games. I still have to do the 8th version of RPGS in English. It will be at Con Plus. I'll probably have videos coming for that, talking to you about Con Plus this year. Because I'm doing it in English and in French. I'll usually start with the French version and then I do the same adventure in English. Okay, this is quite an extreme experiment and a very learning one for me. Okay, I'm learning a lot through this. Kind of a big exercise, a big game mastering exercise through that. And it's extreme. Okay, before starting with the first aspect, the three aspects I want to talk about, it's the fact that I'm playing with different tables regarding the players, so it looks like a convention game every time. The fact that I'm running it with different settings, which is quite hard because sometimes some of the settings would not have been my first choice, but I will come back to you with that later. And the third aspect is the game system, which is quite a challenge there because like I said, I am having a different game system every time, and the choice of game system is quite odd, I must admit. But I wanted that oddness, to raise the challenge for me. So I'll start with this players aspect. Well, if you are used to run conventions, okay, if you do a lot of that, probably what I will say is obvious. Yes, it's the report of the obvious. Yeah. It's quite a challenge to have different game tables every time. It's not like having your regular group where you do agree upon the way of playing, and we know each other enough to get the best out of it. Okay, right now I can consider myself into 2 regular groups. My home group, well, I can't almost say 3, but I'll say 2. My home group that I'm with since 3 years, and it's quite a stable group, and we're quite open to many experiments, so it's quite fun, so it's easy. And all for one, okay, before starting to play with those guys, we established ourselves quite clearly on the type of game we were to have, and it's working quite fine. We're not playing often enough, but it's a regular group for me in a sense. Well, not regular. Let's say more an established group. Okay. But the rest of the time I'm with different groups, and that is a challenge. The quality of the players will fill up many of the gaps. That is obvious. Yes, it is. It is. Because sometimes you will come up with plot hooks tied to a universe And maybe the way you brought it, maybe the universe itself, maybe have some gaps, and the players, through their playing, will fill those. Okay, maybe the game system may have some holes in it, and once again, the players' quality will fill the gap. Basically, the players, if you let them together and they are good-willed, will run the game by themselves without no game system, and well, mostly without the universe itself. Yeah, the universe will guide who their characters are, and from that point, well, you can let them play together without a game master, and they will do the show. They will steal the show by themselves, and which is fine. And I'm saying that because most of the groups that I had in my RPGS experiment were like that. You know, I had good elements every time. I had people who were willing to bring something good at the table, and yeah, some good examples. You know, one that is fresh in my mind. It was the Samakian Kingdom, the last one I ran. You know, I had 3 players. I was very glad to have them. They have never played together, but you know, I knew them individually. Well, Ivan, of course, I've played with him a couple of times. Jeremiah McCoy, I have played with him once, and you know, I'm a big fan of his channel, his YouTube channel. And Mornblade Gaming, Dave, which thought that it would be interesting to invite. You know, I was following him through his channel too, and I felt, yeah, well, why not? You know, I just put an invitation and he accepted, and you know, it was a great mix. Okay, the 3 players together were, yeah, the mix was good. Okay, you could feel a good vibe around this table. Sometimes it was a little more difficult. I had some report of the obvious. I was with the table with someone who was big on this narrative side, and another player was extreme with this, you know, with his strategies and how to simulate the stuff, and how to the game rules itself. You know, he was putting importance into that, and it was a challenge because I had to play. You know, I was in charge of the balance then, not just into you know, providing the plot hook and portraying the NPCs and the environment, but I was kind of watching the balance in order to give, you know, the best to all of the players, okay? In order to help the players have their share in that game, which is quite a challenge. I consider that I think I did a good job. Was it perfect at the end? Well, depends. You have to watch the games. Maybe ask the players themselves about their own experience. But once we are on the ship of the one shot, we go through it and we try to take the best out of it. But I think in the end we ended up with, it all ended up with satisfying stories, and I'm quite proud so far. So yeah, for this aspect, this obvious aspect that the quality of the players will enhance the game. You know, if we have good players, it will help. Of course, it's obvious, but being exposed to it into those extreme conditions just made it pop out even more for me. And I'm glad to do this experiment because of that. Because yeah, it works my GM's muscles, and I'm glad to do it. And I'm looking forward for the rest of the experiment. So, like I said, if you want to participate, Conplus.com. Okay, this is the convention, online convention I will be in. This is a charity event. It's free to participate if you want to GM too. Okay, and if you want to be a player, so you know, it's just being there live and making some promotion for this charity called Child's Play. They want to raise money to give it to hospitals for them to buy games. It's for the kids, okay? Well, yeah, the hospital, kids hospital, I must be precise, yeah, to help kids have a better stay in the hospital. So RPGS, the 8th volume will be held there. So yeah, see you there, and stay tuned for the 2 other videos of this trilogy of the Report of the Obvious. François Letarte, JDR D30, and up to next time, I hope you have as much fun in your life as in your games. Goodbye.